And today, okay, you've already figured it out. By the title of the video, the things you didn't know about. Let's go. At first, I wanted to say, be careful, don't try anything like this at home, but then I realized that you're unlikely to succeed because we're talking about flames in space. Well, actually, fire, like everything else in zero gravity, behaves differently than on Earth. Scientifically, the explanation is quite simple. When fire burns on Earth, it heats up the gases and emits the combustion products. In microgravity, hot gases don't appear. That's why the flame changes color, changes shape, and sometimes even resembles something like a fire, jellyfish, or jello. By the way, notice how briskly it flares up when the astronaut blows a little. This is literally the opposite of the whole concept of terrestrial combustion. It's very easy to feel the electricity. Just take off your synthetic or woolen clothes too quickly, and there you are, a walking power plant. And then there's that familiar crackling sound. But if you're out in the open, the weather's clearly hinting that a thunderstorm is about to start and the air suddenly starts crackling.
Listen to when I put my hands up, you'll actually hear the static. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty funny, to be honest, and a very bad sign. This sounds sort of hints that lightning is about to strike right there or somewhere very nearby. If you feel, see, or hear static electricity during a thunderstorm, you need to go hide somewhere immediately, and definitely don't wave your arms around and videotape your hair sticking out funny. Lightning has a disgusting sense of humor. You don't have to go to Iceland to see Iceland's famous black beach. You don't even have to go to the beach. You just have to be in a town where there's a large boiler house or some coal-fired plant. Just one mistake at the factory, and instead of white snow, the locals get black snow. Honestly, that's the most depressing thing I've ever seen. In one of our past videos, I already showed you what a rainbow looks like when you look at it from above. What about the end or the beginning?
Wow, that is pretty freaking awesome, man.
Theoretically, there should be a pot of leprechaun gold or some other useful thing somewhere in there. I don't know, maybe a free Netflix subscription, but what's really there? There's a rainbow. There's got to be an end to it somewhere or a beginning.
That truck is in the rainbow.
Oh, there it is. Just a few seconds left and the car would go through it just a little bit more. And hey, there's nothing there. And that's not the only case. No gold, no portal, no path across the Rainbow Bridge to Asgard. I'm disappointed. They could have at least left a pack of skills. Listen, do you know if some kind of anti-snake alarm has been invented yet? Some kind of device that reacts to snakes on the property and chases them away, imitating a honey badger, for example. Never mind, after all, even before mankind started inventing various devices, nature invented the guinea fowl. In fact, guinea fowls are very amusing birds that look like walking gray sacks with long necks. They look as harmless as possible while still being able to guard their territory from mice, pests, and even snakes. Yep, a funny chicken against a small viper will win. You laugh, but a funny chicken, or rather several funny chickens. The smaller the snake, the more likely the fowls will surround it and eat it. But if the snakes were large, they'll surround it and make a very strong noise. And the snake will regret it's still alive. Seriously, these birds make such loud noises that they scare away most pests at the borders of the territory. Today, there's telephone service in almost every corner of the globe. It's logical to assume that mobile operators' cell towers should also be almost everywhere. But it's not that it's very pleasant to see them. They spoil the view a bit, but also embarrass various anxious people who fear radiation, wiretapping, and perhaps an alien attack. To solve two problems at once, such towers are sometimes camouflaged as trees. Depending on the landscape and climate, cell towers are turned into palm trees, sequoias, pine trees, even cacti. It doesn't stop some people from getting anxious though, because hidden towers surely mean something's being hidden from them. Experimental, motorized, jet-powered lab car. Feels like something we would have seen in Back to the Future, but for some reason, they cut it out in editing. However, this is a real device built and tested in 1966. The design was quite simple, two jet engines attached to a pre-existing car. The engines had previously been used on the Conveyor B-36 bomber, For better aerodynamics, fairing was added to the front of the car, and that was it. Yeah, they literally put jet engines from an airplane on a train and the construction moved. On July 23, 1966, the car reached a speed of 183 miles per hour, which is the American speed record for a railroad. So far, it's never been beaten. Alas, despite the fact that the wagon was built from the unwanted parts, the project still wasn't seen as commercially viable. If you ask any astrophysicist if the universe has a center, they'll start explaining, getting you terms, talking about the Big Bang. In short, it'll take a long time. But if you ask a resident of Oklahoma the same question, they'll say, sure, in the city of Tulsa.
It doesn't matter which direction you face or how loud you are. When you talk, your voice will hit these concrete walls around you, reverberate back, and create an echo that we know as the center of the universe.
It's a small, concrete circle enclosed in another circle, but that one's made of bricks. When you stand on the concrete circle and make any noise, it echoes back and is heard much louder than the original noise, but no one outside the circle can hear it, even if they're standing 2 steps away from you. It's almost impossible to talk when one person is in the circle and the other is outside of the circle. This is a real acoustic anomaly since there's nothing in the structure that can resonate in this way. The phenomenon was actively studied. Some attempts were made to find the explanation for it. Scientists had some theories, but none of them could fully explain what is going on in the center of the universe. If you've ever been caught in freezing rain, you're unlikely to want to experience that again. And the consequences of it aren't the most pleasant, especially if your city has hills. But if you manage to avoid all of that, you can admire the icy leaves. They do look very beautiful, almost magical. You love the solitude, but turning off your phone and ignoring guests doesn't help you get away from people. Elydia Island is your choice. 0.17 square miles of land just south of Iceland. There's no permanent population or even animals except maybe a huge number of puffins, but they are unlikely to discuss the latest political news with you. The only building on the island is a small hunting lodge built back in the 50s. The hunters from the local Hunters Association use it when they come here to hunt. The last inhabitants left Elydia back in the 30s. No wonder the island is called the loneliest. It's believed that exploration of Mars began long ago, as far back as 3,500 years ago in ancient Egypt. Then Galileo took a good look at around 1610. Even after a NASA spacecraft flew around the red planet in 1965, there weren't any high-quality images. And only in 2020 did people manage to combine digitized images taken by various NASA rovers over the years. The result is a stunning video with the most detailed images ever sent back to Earth from the red planet. It's unlikely that any of us would be able to fly to Mars as a tourist, but we can already take a remote tour or watch the Martians. Really, its scenery is very similar. If you think about it, zebras are pretty much strange animal. I mean, a black and white horse with stripes as unique as our fingerprints. Nature loves these things. And so, as if simple stripes weren't enough, a spotted foal was seen at a Kenyan reserve. This is such a unique case that the baby was even given a name, Tira, after the man who discovered it. The coloring is caused by a condition called pseudomelanism. It's a rare genetic mutation. Animals, for example, change their color and color forms. It results in dots instead of stripes. However, zebras sometimes have another unusual color variation, such as a partial albinism. Yep, a blonde zebra still doesn't sound as weird as it looks. Do you think that the helicopter mission in GTA was hard? You just haven't seen helicopters landing on a ship in bad weather. The ships swing, the helicopter itself swings, everything around it swings. Well, if you aren't sick yet, maybe you should join the Navy. Hey, you want some cyberpunk? This giant stop sign that's protected by jets of water that blocks practically the entire tunnel is a really cool hazard warning system. Not only does it look spectacular, and I agree it does, but it also solves a classic problem: drivers who simply ignore conventional means of warning. Unlike the usual signs, which you might not notice because there are someone of the side of the road, this system appears in close proximity to the drivers. It's impossible not to notice what is right in front of your windshield. Also, the sign doesn't block traffic, which means rescue crews or police officers can easily get to the scene. About the third of the problems of horror movies characters would solve themselves if this poor thing brought a normal flashlight with them. Something really powerful, Capable of yes, capable of that. This is the Amulet MS18, a high brightness LED flashlight. Some even call it the brightest in the world, 100,000 lumens. By comparison, the maximum brightness of the iPhone 12 flashlight is about 50 lumens. See the difference? There are plenty of places on our planet where even going to the bathroom is already an achievement, but Antarctica is definitely a champion in this regard. First of all, there is no waste in Antarctica. If possible, it's destroyed or removed altogether. So all polar explorers have to act, let's say, on schedule.
Don't eat too much. Yeah, we are limited in the number of poop buckets.
Second, the camping toilet must be as stable as possible, otherwise, one gust of wind will be enough to leave the conqueror of the South Pole sitting in the middle of the snowy wilderness, not at their best. And yes, no heated seats either. You can't scroll through your Twitter feed or watch YouTube. What a terrible place. We'll see you later.